You don't need to study grammar or vocabulary to speak English fluently. You already have enough of both. What you don't have yet is a system that turns what you know into what you can say. By the end of this video, you will know why you freeze when you speak, what your brain actually needs to produce fluency, and the exact system to build it permanently. Here's something no English course ever taught you. Your brain has limited processing power, not unlimited. Limited. Every single time you try to speak English, your brain is forced to run 5 separate operations at the exact same time. It decides what you want to say. It searches for the right words. It builds the grammar. It monitors whether it sounds right. And it tracks the other person's face to see how they're reacting. All at once in real time under pressure. That's a lot. To understand why this breaks down, think of speech production in 3 simple stages. Conceptualization, deciding what you mean, formulation, building it into language, and articulation, saying it out loud. For native speakers and advanced speakers, formulation is almost invisible. It happens below conscious awareness. That means that you're choosing language unconsciously, not on purpose. It's like you're speaking and thinking, choosing language at the same time. But for most speakers, formulation is the bottleneck, the obstacle. Why? And hear me out on this, because you're building every single sentence from scratch, word by word. You're only worrying about grammar rules, about the conjugations, the verb tenses, the word order. But think about this. When you speak your mother tongue, your native language, you don't think about those rules. You just do it. Let's talk very quickly about your brain. Your brain has the equivalent of computer RAM, that is, working memory. When too many operations run simultaneously, the system overloads or crashes. And that's the freeze. That's the translation delay. The sentence that was ready 2 seconds too late. Now, here's where most learners make a massive mistake. They respond to this freeze by studying more grammar, more structures, more rules, more textbook exercises. And that actually makes the problem worse. And why? Well, consciously learned grammar rules cannot generate fluent speech. Let me say that again. Consciously learned grammar rules cannot generate fluent speech. They can only edit it after your brain has already built something. Think of it as an internal editor sitting in your head. Every grammar rule you've ever memorized isn't acting as a tool for speaking. It's acting as a referee, waiting to check what you say and waiting to slow you down, waiting to tell you your sentence isn't right before you've even finished it. Under pressure, that internal editor doesn't help you speak. It only interrupts you. So think about what's actually happening in your head. Your brain has limited RAM. Your grammar rules are using and hogging that limited RAM. And every sentence you try to construct from scratch, word by word, is draining a system that was already overloaded. The result? You can't speak English fluent. And I want you to realize that this is not a sign of weakness or low talent. It's your brain doing exactly what it was trained to do, checking and correcting in a situation that requires fast, automatic reflexes. So if grammar rules can't generate fluent speech, what actually does? Researchers analyzing millions of words of real spoken English found that between 55 and 80% of what fluent speakers say in conversation is not constructed in the moment. It's retrieved. It's brought from the memory. Preloaded combinations that arrive complete before the brain even has time to think about grammar rules. What does that mean? It means that most spoken English isn't just random isolated words inserted into grammar structures. So in conversation, instead of building sentences word by word and rule by rule, the brain of a fluent speaker remembers complete phrases as single units and uses them all at once. And here is an important thing. We call these word combinations chunks. A chunk is not just a single word or a grammar rule. It's a pre-built phrase that your brain retrieves whole, the exact same way you retrieve your whole name. You don't spell your name, you don't construct it. It just comes out. That is what a chunk does. Listen to these examples. How are you doing? That makes sense. Let me think about that. To be honest with you, you already know what all of these mean without me explaining a single word. Why? Because you've heard them so many times that your brain stopped processing them as separate words and started storing them as single units. The problem isn't that you don't know chunks like these. because you do. The real problem is that these chunks are not wired in as automatic reflexes under the pressure of real conversation yet. That's the gap we talked about at the beginning of this video, and it's the gap that we're closing now. So this is the truth that nobody in language education wants to admit. The grammar rules, the tenses, and the structures you studied are not the foundation of fluent speech. The chunks are. In simple terms, the combinations come first, and then the grammar manages them, not the other way around. Think about what this means for your brain when you speak. When you retrieve a chunk, you skip the construction phase entirely. No searching for words, no grammar checking, no internal editor interrupting you. One unit, instant, near zero RAM consumed. And what happens to all that freed up RAM? You use it to actually think, to listen to the other person, to decide where the conversation is going, to choose your next conversational move. That is what actually thinking in English feels like. Not translating faster or trying to ignore your internal editor. Thinking differently, because the language is no longer the hurdle, it's the vehicle. Now you know what chunks are and why they work. Now I'm going to show you the exact types of chunks you need if you want to speak English fluently. Before I show you the 4 types, I want you to realize something. You already use chunks. When someone asks you, "How are you?" you don't translate or analyze grammar rules. You just say, "I'm good, thanks. You?" Your brain didn't build that sentence. It just played a pre-recorded file. The difference between you and a fluent speaker isn't intelligence. It's simply the size of their chunk library and how fast they can access it. So here are the exact 4 types of chunks that unlock fluency fastest. Number 1, collocations. Collocations are word partnerships. Words that belong together, not because a grammar rule forces them, but because native speakers always pair them. If you break the partnership, it feels wrong immediately. So what is the rule for collocations? It's simple. Don't learn isolated words. Learn partnerships. If you study a new word, try to see which are the partner words that usually accompany it. Let me test your brain right now. Which one sounds right to you? Can you keep a secret or can you save a secret? It's version A, keep a secret. In English, you don't save or guard a secret. You keep it. The verb keep is locked to the word secret. So even though you have 3 words, keep a secret, the brain stores them as a single unit, as one word, keep a secret. Type 2, light verb constructions. Now, type 2 is a special high-leverage subtype of collocation, but it is so powerful that it deserves its own category. Instead of trying to learn thousands of individual complex verbs, you just focus on the 9 light verbs. Make, have, take, do. And if you want to see the other 5 verbs, you can check the video I have on this topic. It's going to help you a lot. For example, make a decision, have a conversation, take a look, do homework. Non-native speakers waste precious RAM searching for advanced verbs to build these concepts from scratch. But fluent speakers just attach one of these verbs to a noun, retrieve it as a single unit, and keep moving in the conversation. Type 3, discourse markers. This is the type that most learners never study, and it's the one that changes how natural you sound the most. Listen to these examples. To be honest with you, here's the thing. That said, what I mean is, these aren't filler words or hesitation. They do something very specific. They buy your brain thinking time while simultaneously signaling to the listener what is coming next. To be honest with you, signals vulnerability or that an opinion is coming. Here's the thing, signals a reframe, a new explanation. That said, signals contrast. When you use these, you just don't sound more natural. You sound like someone who controls the room. And if you want to learn these phrases, these type of chunk, discourse markers, I have a video on how you can learn them and use them to keep conversations going that can help you increase your fluency in English. Go check it out. Type 4, social scripts. These are complete pre-built formulas that we use in predictable situations. Instead of constructing sentences from scratch when you're put on the spot, your brain just deploys the script like it was playing a file. Can I get a latte, please? When you're ordering at a coffee shop. Do you mind if I sit here? When you're asking for permission in a polite way. Social scripts are very important because they help you navigate real-life interactions without overthinking. You have a set of phrases that you can use readily in predictable situations such as at a supermarket, at an airport, or at a coffee shop. Now, there are other two types of chunks, phrasal verbs and idioms, that I'm deliberately saving for another video because we don't want to overload your brain today. And to be honest, these are the two most difficult types of chunks on the list. But if you want a complete video, a breakdown on these two, idioms and phrasal verbs, just comment part 2 below. Now, knowing the 4 types or the 6 types is useless unless you have a system that allows you to load these chunks into your brain. Here is a 3-stage method to learn chunks and use them in conversation so you can speak fluently. Step 1, noticing. You can't load a chunk you haven't registered consciously. Starting today, stop looking for words and start paying attention to combinations that feel natural. Here is how to do it with what you already consume. TV shows. My favorite, animated shows, comedy shows, or TV shows that you have already watched. Turn on English subtitles. When you hear a natural phrase, a phrase you like, pause and write down the exact sequence. For example, that's not what I signed up for. I need you to hear me out. Don't paraphrase it. Your brain needs the exact same sequence under pressure. Podcasts. Listen for 2-speaker conversations. Notice how they transition between ideas or how they even disagree. For example, here's the thing though. That is exactly my point. You can also find plenty of chunks when you read, so my recommendation is read articles and news if you want to find complex and formal chunks, and then read posts and comments on social media where you will get plenty of informal expressions that don't usually get taught in English classes. Stage 2, appropriation. Noticing is passive. You're only seeing, reading, listening to the chunks, but appropriation is active. It means taking a chunk you noticed and making it yours before you feel ready. When you find a new chunk, store it with context, not necessarily a direct translation. I recommend using flashcards if you want to memorize chunks, and here is how you can use them. You can use the front part of the flashcard to write down the chunk. For example, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then you write the definition and an example on the other side of the flashcard. For example, you could say, I'm not going to be able to make it, and the definition would be a phrase you use to decline or say no to an invitation, or to say that you're not going to be able to arrive on time. And then the example, you read it out loud several times because that is going to help you fixate the knowledge in your brain. The example could be, I'm really sorry, I'd like to go to that dinner, but I'm not going to be able to make it. Stage 3, autonomy. This is where you stop consciously managing the chunks and they start appearing on their own. You have to mentally rehearse real-life situations before they happen. If you have a conversation, a meeting, or a trip coming up, run that scenario several times in your head so you can use the chunks that you previously loaded. So when the real moment arrives, your brain doesn't have to struggle to build the idea word by word from scratch. This is called imagined interactions, and it's a very effective exercise to improve confidence and fluency in real-life situations in which you are under pressure. And very important, when you're practicing autonomy, you're probably going to make mistakes, and you have to understand that mistakes are part of the process, and they mean that you're actually smart and brave because you're trying to use something new and trying to get out of your comfort zone. So don't be afraid of mistakes, because mistakes are your allies. So you came into this video thinking that your problem was grammar, vocabulary, or confidence. Now you know what it actually was: system overload, trying to construct every single sentence from scratch. Now this video has given you a complete map to fix that problem. You know why you freeze? Your mental RAM is overloaded. You know what fluent speakers use in conversation: chunks, pre-assembled combinations of words. You know the 4 core types: light verbs, collocations, social scripts, and discourse markers. And you have the exact system to load them into your brain to speak fluently: noticing, appropriating, and autonomy. The next time someone asks for your opinion or puts you on the spot, you won't search for individual words. You won't be thinking about grammar rules. You will look for a chunk, and the fluency will be there. Don't forget to leave your comments if this video changed the way you think about English fluency. My name is Astro, and I hope to see you in the next video. I'll see you soon.